Hello, beautiful ladies, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about 5 ways to be a good friend that go beyond you do you. One of the things I've noticed about being a woman in 2020 is the kind of friendships that are encouraged by modern media. A lot of it is about supporting your friends and just telling them to do what they want, you do you, and the idea of confronting your friends with advice or actually giving them a different alternative to what they're doing now, even if what they're doing is making them unhappy, is not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. And as I was thinking about that idea, it started to snowball into all of the different ways that you can actually be a better friend. What's interesting is that when I was getting my master's, I actually kind of believed in that idea. I thought it was important to just support your friends no matter what they did, even as you saw them making choices that were making them unhappy. I said to myself, you know what? It's not my business what my friends are doing. I don't need to get involved. It's their own thing, and I'll just be there at the end of the day to support them. And it was a pervasive thing that, yeah, you just tell your friends they're doing a great job, even if you care about them and you can see what they're doing is making them unhappy. I actually started thinking about friendship more and in a different way when I met my husband. My husband is an only child, and so he treats friendships the way that many people treat family members. And I never really did that because I had a bigger family growing up. And when I met my husband, I saw him confront his friends about things that they were doing in their behaviors, and I kind of was taken aback. It was a surprise for me that that was something that you could do. He took the risk of talking to his friends about things that could bother them, that I started to see friendship in a whole new light. Part of that, I think, is that men's relationships are very different than women's relationships. And I know that with my female friends, I have to be very sensitive about the way I approach topics with them. I have to say, I really love you and I care about you, and this is why I want to talk about things. Whereas with a guy friend, I can just be like, you're doing something stupid. Stop it. And of course, this leads into a whole host of topics about friendship. So I want to talk about 5 different ways that you can actually be a better friend than just telling your friends, hey, do whatever you want, even if what you're doing is going to make you unhappy. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about, and probably the biggest topic, is to actually give your friends advice and not just sit on the sidelines and say, you do you. I hate that phrase. The phrase you do you drives me a little bit crazy because the fact is your choices are not always going to be the best, and sometimes you need somebody outside of what you're doing to actually be able to give you a different perspective. I think friendships, and especially female friendships, which can be a little bit more sensitive, have turned into something that is just about hanging out with someone and enjoying their company. And to me, friendship is so much more than that. Now, I only say this because I used to be the kind of friend who would say, you do you, and go out and do whatever you want. And it was because I didn't know if my friendships would survive me actually telling my friend what I thought about those decisions. Now, what I want to say before I get into this whole thing is that it's not about judgment. It's not about looking at your friend and saying, you're doing something stupid and I don't like it. It's seeing a friend's choices and wanting to help them because you care about them. There's such a big difference between judging someone because you think it's weird or stupid or bad that they're doing something, but you don't actually care about their well-being, and offering advice because you love someone and you want the best for them. Real friendships are the ones where you can go to a friend and tell them that you see something wrong with what they're doing and that you think that they could do better. And if they do better, they'll feel better. A weak friendship isn't going to survive one person going to the other and actually telling them that they shouldn't be doing a certain thing, or maybe that they should rethink a decision. A weak friendship is built on just hanging out. It's built on just doing whatever you want and hoping that that other person will talk about it with you at the end of the day. A good friendship, a real friendship, is one where you can actually give advice to the other person and really tell them that you're seeing them do something wrong. I remember when I was in my master's, I made some questionable decisions and my friends didn't speak up. And I don't blame them for not speaking up, not at all. If our friendship was really strong, I hope they would have come to me. And that totally happened in the reverse as well. I had friends who were making choices that were actively making them unhappy, and I didn't feel comfortable telling them that maybe they should rethink those choices and go in a new direction. I felt like I didn't have a role there to actually be a good friend and support my friends through those choices. And I feel really bad about that because our friendship could have gotten so much stronger if we had been open about this is something I think would make you better. Here's some real advice. I can be critical of you because I love you and because I care. I also had some friends in my master's where we did speak up to each other, and those friendships have lasted. The others actually didn't. Those friendships were the ones where I felt like I could go to that friend and say, you're doing something that's hurting you and you need to stop it. And that friend, we stayed close because she felt like I really cared about her and I went out of my way to say something. And I've had those friends do the same for me, saying, are you sure you want to make this decision? I don't think that's best for you. When I was visiting Los Angeles, I remember going out to lunch with a girlfriend of mine. We were talking about one of my friends who she didn't know. And I said, I've been seeing that she's been doing some things that I don't think are going to make her happy in the long run. They seem very short term, and I'd like to see her do something better. So I'm wondering if I should reach out. Maybe the two of us can grab coffee. And this friend that I was out to lunch with at the time said to me, that's not real friendship. Friendship is just supporting her no matter what she does. That made me pause because I thought to myself, ooh, that is not really what friendship is. Friendship is helping your friends make better decisions. All of your relationships in life, marriage, friendships, all of them should really be about how do we help each other so that at the end of the day, we've grown and become better people. Not just, let's hang out. Let's talk about whatever you want. I don't care what choices you make because at the end of the day, we can still get a drink afterwards. Those friendships are fine, and those are what I would call peers or colleagues, but I wouldn't call that a real friend because a real friend you go to because you want to get their advice. A good example are the friends that I had who were hooking up with guys and then saying that, oh, it's casual, I don't really have feelings for him, but we're talking about the guy as if they had a future. Now, in my master's, I probably would have said to that friend, you do you. You know what's best for you. You're keeping it casual. Don't worry about it. Now, as somebody who really values my friendships, I would go to that friend and I would say, hey, I can see that you're actually starting to have feelings for this guy. Even if you weren't, I don't think that casual relationships are a great idea because they usually turn into that and you don't want to get hurt. But especially now, I'm seeing that this is a relationship that you think is going to have a future and I don't think that he believes the same thing and it's only going to hurt you. So maybe you want to cut it off sooner rather than later. That's what a real friend would say. But a 2020 girlfriend would say, you do you. You live your best life. I think the better friendship is the real friendship and the one where you can actually go to your friend and offer a piece of advice that would make her feel better in the long run. My next piece of advice is if you're going to offer advice to your friends, you need to be open to hear it yourself. It's really hard to hear from your girlfriends that you're making a choice that might not be the best for you. It's hard to hear it, it's hard to listen, and sometimes we lash out at the people who care for us the most. But if you want to have a real friendship and have a friendship that's going to last a long time, you need to be able to listen to your friends when they offer you that advice. And they should be doing it in a loving and kind way and making it clear that it's because they love you that they're saying it. But it is important for you to have an open heart and an open mind when your friend does offer advice, because if you aren't open to it, they won't be open to it either, and that's the friendship that isn't going to last. You need to be able to hear from your friends if you're doing something wrong. Sometimes we think that we know what we're doing and we're very clear-headed about something, but when you're in it, it's very difficult to actually see what's going on. Sometimes that outside perspective of a good friend is actually going to help you, but you need to be able to, as a woman, pause your feelings and say, okay, I know I'm getting upset. I know that I don't want to hear this, but that doesn't mean it's not worth hearing, and it doesn't mean that this friend doesn't care about me. This friend does still care about me. That's especially why they're saying it. That's why they're risking the friendship by actually giving you advice you may not want to hear. It's hard to do that. It's scary because you don't want to offend your friend. That's the hardest thing, is you don't want your friend to think you don't love them and that you do judge them without love. But if you really want a good friendship, that's a risk you have to be willing to take, and you have to be the kind of friend who's willing to hear it. My third piece of advice is be open and honest with your friends so they can be open and honest with you. What am I talking about? Well, one of the things that I love about my husband is that he is the kind of guy who's open immediately. When he meets somebody, he doesn't try and keep things under wraps or try to impress someone. He's just immediately open. He tells them whatever he wants to tell them, and it doesn't feel like he's got a wall up. And that means that people we meet become friends with us very quickly because they feel comfortable sharing too. And I feel the same way. I love just wearing my heart on my sleeve, being very open, telling people my stories, and I love it when people feel open enough to share it with me too, because those are friendships that are fun, interesting. You guys know that you can trust each other because you've trusted each other with information that maybe you don't want the whole world to know. And so if you're open and honest, then other people will be open and honest with you, and then you can really build good friendships. I love going to dinner with people, and all of a sudden we're talking about our high school experiences and we don't even know how we got on the topic. But the best relationships start with being open and honest with people, especially people who you feel that you can trust. Now, of course, I'm not talking about just sharing everything willy-nilly with whoever you meet, regardless of if they're a work colleague or if they're someone you shouldn't trust. But I mean, if you meet someone and you feel that you could actually begin a friendship with them, you start off by being open and honest, and they'll probably follow suit. My next piece of advice is to stay friends with people even at different life stages. So I know this is a really common thing for young women. When a young woman gets married, all of her single friends feel like they don't have a friend anymore. She just kind of abandons them and jumps ship, and I'm a married woman now, and now I'm just gonna hang out with my married woman friends. I know that I'm still friends with a lot of my single friends, and I'm going to stay friends with them as they get married. So there's more of a transitional stage where, okay, right now you're single and I'm married, but probably over time, we're gonna be in similar life stages. And I hate the idea that you would abandon those friends who aren't married just because they're in a different stage of life. You can still learn something from your single friends, and they can still learn things from you because you're married. And that's, of course, not the only life stage. There's also the life stage of when you have children. Maybe you stop being friends with the girl who's married but doesn't have kids yet. Why would you do that? You can always learn things from your friends. You can always have friends who keep you accountable. And you can always have friends who, hey, maybe you want to just take a night off and not talk about diapers. And going out with your single friend, you might end up talking about something you haven't even thought about for months. Being a good friend means sticking with your friends, even if they're not going through the exact same thing as you are in your life. And good friendships survive that stuff. You want to stick with that friend who is going through different life stages than you are, because you might end up learning things from each other that you wouldn't learn if you were just going through the exact same things at the exact same times. Of course, having friends who are in the same life stage as you, great. But keeping those friendships that actually matter to you and that might not be exactly where you are in your stage of life, still a great thing and really important. You want to be the kind of person who people can count on. And if you're the kind of person who abandons people once they're not doing exactly what you're up to, I don't think that they can count on you. I don't think most people would feel like they can count on you. So be the kind of person who stays friends with people no matter what they're going through. And I think this is even true going back to the first point. If your friend continues to do something even after you've offered advice, that doesn't mean you have to abandon them depending on how severe their choices are, because they might still need you and you will be the friend who will keep them accountable. And not everybody will. So you can stay friends with people who aren't making the choices you would think are best for them if they're not going to reflect on you, and you can still maintain that friendship. It's all about being open, being honest, being there for your friends, and helping them find their path to fulfillment. My last piece of advice is kind of a funny one. It seems like it's less important, but I think it's really important, and that is make life events celebrations. Being there for people's celebrations shows them you care. If your friend has a party and it's for their 26th birthday and that matters to them, try and go. They want you there because they love you and they want to celebrate with you. And if you don't go, it shows that you don't care as much as they do. And that's not a nice thing for a friend to hear. If your friend is celebrating for her bridal shower, you should go. You should help her make it a great event if you can. The best friends are the ones who want to celebrate with you because they're happy for you. And even just saying, hey, how can I help you plan this? Or can I surprise her with something? How can I be there? All of that is just going to make her feel loved and will make you feel like she loves you too. She wanted you there enough and she needs your help enough that she's willing to reach out. Most people in today's day and age, I don't think feel super comfortable asking people for help. And so if your friend is actually asking you for help, it's because she trusts you enough to do it. So making celebrations a big event, being there to celebrate, making the time for your friend, making their events your events is really what it comes down to. Making their celebrations your celebrations is going to make you a good friend and is going to make your friend feel loved. And that's what it should be at the end of the day. All of this stuff is you guys love each other and care about each other, and so you want the best for each other. And you do what you can to help that person find their meaning. And that's really what all of these things are about. Let me know what you do to be a good friend and what your best friendships have been like. I'd really love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and blog if you haven't already. Head over to my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and follow me there. Hit that notification bell. Hit that subscribe button. Please head over to classicallyabby.locals.com if you'd like to support my channel, see more of this content, and be part of our community. And I'll see you guys in my next video.